Just because you have a sexy scar upon your face, you think you have the right to command the Egyptian race. To stand against the pharaoh is a fight you're bound to lose. To beat you, I don't need my pants or even leather shoes. That's the last time I do that, I promise. But yeah, we're starting this part with a fusion alarm. I'm not sure if there's gonna be anything like massive that I fuse here. Speaking of fusing, some people have thought that Justine and Caroline are practicing their Dragon Ball fusion dance there in their animations, and I can see that. Okay, I could get Pisaka. Yeah, I really never use Rakshasa at all, so I'm not bothered by losing it to that. Ooh, though Hypixie.
It is neither remarkable nor unremarkable.
I lose 3 of Hypixie's skills this way. I don't want to pass down Stagnant Air, Elect Break, or Ambient Aid anyway, so I guess this kind of works out, and Pisaka's magic is not terrible. Oh, I could also pass down Marakunda. Wait, how the heck do I have those 2 as skill options? Oh right, Rakshasa, I got a pretty good skill change on it all the way back.
Choose which skills to inherit.
Yeah. Okay, rethinking. What can I turn Hypixie into that doesn't require giving up Rakshasa?
Really need this?
Yeah, so Justine and Caroline will actually give that voice clip if you're attempting to fuse something a lot lower than your level. So in the end, I've decided to go with this, and I'm gonna probably buy back Rakshasa and then refuse it into something else just because I like its mask skills.
Now, let us begin.
I just really want this, like, Freedyne, Zeodyne shock moveset passed down. Again, there's just something... Okay then, that's a weird quote. I mean, I don't see how that would really work or benefit you since you are him, but still. No, absolutely not. I mean, at least Dream Needle and Rampage are easy replacement skills. Abysmal Surge, medium chance to despair to all foes is not actually horrible in combination with Stagnant Air and Despair Boost. I mean, I'd rather have that than Mamudo. So I've got this kind of weirdly all-purpose status ailment Pisaka here, which I'm not going to immediately execute. Just executed Andras just to get it out of the way. Okay, Rakshasa Stone of Scon makes Zorchor 10.
It is neither remarkable nor unremarkable.
Who I did technically have before, but he immediately accidented.
Choose which skills to inherit.
Okay, this is actually something that I want to point out. From what I've actually read online, I think I'm thinking of the right skill here. This skill only applies to single target attacks, even though its description doesn't imply that. I kind of rather have a 20% bonus all the time in that case.
Expect a modest gift of power.
And I also desperately need a Psy persona, I just realized, so definitely want to pass down Psyo. No, I don't think I will. Good endurance, though.
That's a pretty strong one.
Oh yeah, I will actually be needing Devil soon, because we'll be working on Oya's Confidants fairly soon after finishing this dungeon, but I already have Incubus, so that's fine. The name of this item would be very vulgar in the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 universe.
Done already? What? Done already? What?
So, I'm just going to cancel the alarm manually. I really don't want to fuse anything else I have. Everyone's evenly leveled, so let's see. I don't think I've used this team combination yet. Also, yeah, as you can see here, when I'm highlighting Ryuji, it shows stars next to him and whoever he has a showtime with. Meanwhile, Morgana and Arn only have with each other, Yusuke only has with Ryuji, and Makoto only has with Ryuji. Ren himself has no showtimes as of yet. So this says Corridor Summit, which implies that we are getting towards the end. There's really only one segment of this palace left, but it is a really long one. So I'd say that we're maybe, I wouldn't say half, I'd say that we have about 40% or 45% of the palace to go.
Let's get back to exploring.
And that's good for me, because I actually have quite a lot of things that I want to talk about regarding Futaba's palace. Also, I forgot to check the doors earlier. Yeah, there's only one of these left, but as I said, there's still quite a way to go before we open this. The first thing I want to talk about regarding Futaba's palace is Futaba's missed deadline game over, because there are a lot of misconceptions about it, and I was looking forward to covering them. So, back in the early days of this game's release, also I love this room. This room looks pretty great. A lot of people thought that if you let Futaba's deadline run out, then... Okay, I will say that my description of this potential bad ending is going to get in some dark territory, so just a warning, but a lot of people thought that if you missed her deadline, she killed herself, and her relatives would sue Sojiro and Joker over it. Then people played the English version, somehow wasted enough time to actually miss Futaba's deadline, which is pretty hard to do without trying, and found that the game over was a little bit less extreme. Joker just gets arrested for coercion, blackmail, and suspicion of being a phantom thief. And Sojiro, I think, gets brought in for harboring him, and that's all. Right then. You should be technical to physical, so let's just go ahead and use this. So at the time, many people did something that, oh hey, I didn't actually get you before, so let me see if I can get you this time. So I'll interrupt my talk here because I need to concentrate. Learn to read the mood. Projecting a don't speak to me aura towards you. Okay, so irritable. So you like straightforward answers. How about I noticed? No, that doesn't work. Young people today have poor communication skills. Well, she's not wrong in a lot of situations. And the Emoji Movie isn't helping matters. You, however, are talking to me right here. Are you the exception to this rule? I mean, yeah, Joker's pretty social, with the right people, that is. I'm not special, that's right. I have ulterior motives. I mean, it's kind of true in this case, but, Yes. Okay, good, that was straightforward enough for you. Really? So, no more cool title of She of Life and Death. My true name is Isis the Frequently Demoted. So back to what I was saying, a lot of people, they basically pulled a Pokemon Black and White 2 Gets Us incident over this, and falsely believed that this was censored in the English localization. Okay. It wasn't. People checked the Japanese and found out that the game over is identical in both languages. And the original was just fans jumping to the wrong conclusions. The thing is, though, I don't blame people for jumping to said wrong conclusions, given how dark Kanashiro's missed deadline is. I haven't actually shown or talked about that one yet, except saying that it's really dark, but basically, Makoto is found in a quote-unquote illegal services shop, and she could be heard mumbling the protagonist's name. So again, I am not surprised people thought that Futaba's game over would be that dark, but it turns out that it isn't. It's actually kind of weird and a little out of character for Futaba because it implies that she actually did report the Phantom Thieves to the police, like she promises Alibaba, but like, yeah, I still feel like given her depression that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but basically, that's the thing, no censorship occurred, it is the same in both languages. So now another thing I wanted to talk about regarding Futaba's palace, and that is, I did say before during Kanashiro's palace that one of the early trailers accidentally spoiled the identity of the fourth palace ruler because it showed footage of the laundering office from Kanashiro's palace. I had a feeling it wouldn't be that easy. It showed footage of the laundering office while the deadline section said days before the cleanse, or in Japanese, days before X Day, which I personally think is much cooler than the cleanse, and I kind of wish they'd gone with that in this version, but oh well. They actually still call it X Day in the anime, even in the localization, so again, kind of weird they don't call it that here.
It's almost scary how good I am.
But anyway, it said, days before the cleanse, steal Futaba's heart. And I remember seeing that back in the early, like back when I first saw that trailer and thinking, wait, what? Why is Futaba a target? And that just led me to speculate a lot, and, oh yeah, by the way, I just realized this, even though we can fuse personas above Joker's level through special treatment, you cannot recruit shadows above Joker's level without Sun at rank 10. It feels weird getting special treatment first, because you're kind of supposed to get, what is it, charismatic speech or whatever it is first, but anyway. Something that actually I could go into on top of that is, I don't want to use Muffray because that will hit Isis, is that I actually have some videos of me analyzing as best I can. They're pretty old now, and my microphone quality is pretty horrible compared to this. But yeah, I've got some videos of me analyzing the early Persona 5 trailers. So if you're interested in finding out what people, or at least one Persona fan, thought of those trailers and want to see what speculations of mine ended up being right or wrong, you can check those out if you want to. I guess you can just search my channel for like trailer analysis and you should be able to find them. It's kind of fun looking back on those videos and seeing what I got right and what I got wrong. But yeah, I did have a lot of theories on the Futaba thing. One theory that someone in the comment section there had though was that Futaba would be like working for Kaneshiro via blackmail. I thought that'd be kind of interesting. But, yeah, that is the second of many extra topics that I want to go into about Futaba's Palace. But, I think let's just lay off for a little bit, and let's just focus on exploring the palace a little bit more. Although I did have one other kind of random tangent as well. Talking about earlier, like, why my generation as kids were kind of into ancient Egypt, there are a lot of people in the comments who said, oh, hey, all of you are weak to youth, wow. Who said, oh, maybe it was because of things like, well, one was the Mummy films, which, I only saw the first one, and I pretty much only ever liked it ironically, and I was like 13 at the time, because we watched it in high school just as a joke. I had some, I'll just say that my high school teachers had very great senses of humor, and when we were doing Ancient Egypt in high school, they had us watch The Mummy just because it was funny.
Well...
But, yeah, like I said, I only ever really liked it ironically. In a way, it's kind of supposed, like, it almost feels like it's going for so bad it's good on purpose, which often is terrible, but I guess it sort of worked in that case. But that, and also Yu-Gi-Oh! And people were like, oh, did you watch the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime as a kid, maybe? And I didn't. People were into Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards when I was in, like, my last year of, essentially grade school. And I even had some Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, nothing too particularly rare or valuable. Right, we have a button over here.
Hey.
But I never watched the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, and in fact, I never really had any, like, experience with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime until I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and that wasn't until late high school, so like the late 2000s. So yeah, I was never really into Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was younger. Now, looking at the map, there's actually a safe room, I think, right here.
The cognition here is weak. There may be a safe room nearby. This looks usable. Let's take a break, Joker.
I haven't gone far enough into this area to take a break. I think we'll keep going. No new dialogue from everyone here, but do we have any new dialogue discussing progress?
Hey.
Yeah, see, this is kind of weird. Before they were like, oh, I don't think we're even halfway in, and now they're like, oh, actually, we should reach the deepest part soon. Yep, the floors go up here rather than down. That's usually the case for many of these kind of dungeons. Unlike in Persona 4, where you were usually going up, and there was like one dungeon quite late where you were going down instead.
All right, let's go. We still have work to do.
This room might seem big, but it always felt to me like it went by very quickly.
I have something.
Oh, you again. Aha, is this the first time I've been able to use Chinebu for one of these dogs?
That one is no joke. Be careful. I'll use my persona.
Okay, I guess I can now go into my next topic about Futaba's
See that
powers.
scared one? Psychokinesis would be perfect now.
I already had that idea, Makoto. I was about to go for it. Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, you'll find out. I'm about to summon it. Get more, you know, reasons why I only really know it via Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, which I still think is amazing. And it got, like, even better in terms of production values as it went through. Even though the updates are very, you know, very, very sporadic, I still think they're worth it. In fact, speaking of which, sorry, I'm going on a lot of weird tangents here, but Erika Harlika was actually in one of the more recent, as of recording this, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge episodes. Like, she was Rebecca, I think. So that's a tie-in to this game that you probably didn't expect. Like, I was pretty amazed when I heard that. I was like, okay, wow, that's pretty cool. One of these coffins is not like the others. One of these coffins just doesn't belong.
This is strange. Whoa!
Well, yeah, third eye lets you see a lot of things. That gift from Igor early on is really coming in handy. Ah, this puzzle, I remember this. This is basically a backtrack through this floor and find the coffins that don't belong. Honestly, I think it's kind of fine. Like, the backtracking isn't, like, hugely excessive or anything. I think I can hear a grapple point. But I don't know if I can actually use it from here. Can I? Yeah, I know that there are definitely grapple points around this area, but I suppose we'll encounter them as we go.
I can feel it.
So, another topic that I wanted to go into is the whole concept of, well, not concept, but like, hikikomori. Because at first glance, it might seem like this arc doesn't really have anything major to say about society, like some of the other ones clearly do. But hikikomori is a very big social issue in Japan. Futaba's a bit of an exception because she's kind of become one thanks to her past trauma, but in most cases, sadly, people in Japan tend to become hikikomori because they fall through the cracks of society. Now, don't take this as any, like, you know, full-on deep social studies or anything like that. This is just a random personal thought that I had, but I was just thinking, and I thought to myself, despite the fact that, like, from a purely, you know, physical standpoint, the two concepts seem like opposites, to me there is a bit of a correlation in terms of social causes between being a hikikomori and being homeless. Japan is a culture where there's sort of a set life path that most people are expected to follow. That is, study hard, get into a good school, study even harder, get into a good college, get into a good job, because you don't really have to study once you're at college or university, and finally, work at that prestigious company for the rest of your life. Any people who fall through the cracks at any point in that process will often get stigmatized and feel a deep sense of shame for even stepping out into society. Oh yeah, of course, it was all the way back next to the safe room all along.
Hey!
These ones don't actually show up with Third Eye, so they're a little easier to miss.
Hey!
Okay, we only need to find one of them. And I had a feeling it would lead us to one of these orbs. So now we need to backtrack to where we can put that in. And I like what this orb does, but we'll see that in a moment. So, and now that we have an orb, we have Mummies appearing. But yeah, I just want to stress that there is a big difference between just being introverted and being a hikikomori. It's that deep sense of social shame and just not wanting to be seen outside because you feel like a failure by the standards of society is, I think, what causes people to become one. I mean, there are a lot of different causes, like a lot of economic reasons as well. There are entire essays and papers written on hikikomori in Japan. But one thing that I found interesting from looking at another analysis video on YouTube, this one being Lady Virgilia's video on Futaba, among some other videos she's done, is something that is interesting to think about, because in a lot of Japanese fiction, they focus on teenage hikikomori. But many hikikomori in real life are middle-aged. It's typically middle-aged people who can't find employment. Oh hey, Morgana finally gets to do something in a battle.
2 enemies knocked down. There's more where that came from.
Oh yes, I want this. Shock Boost in Royal, not so much in Vanilla P5. In fact, did he even get this in Vanilla P5? It's been a while since I played that. But Shock Boost in Royal is one of Ryuji's most important skills, and I'm going to get rid of Adverse Resolve for it, because I don't get surrounded that often.
Alright.
That combined with Makoto in the party, in fact, this actually means that Ryuji no longer needs the portable battery. So I suppose he can take the Heatwave Belt instead. Makes for pretty reliable shock, and that makes for reliable technicals. And technicals eventually make for reliable knockdown.
Hey.
While I feel like Royal may have gone a little bit too overboard with buffing status ailments, I do like that they're pretty good in this game. Since I've seen a lot of discussions lately regarding Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and how a few classes are bad, not just because like they're bad conceptually, but because they're reliant on debuffs, and anything worthwhile in that game just resists debuffs so much that they make the classes useless. P5 Royal is kind of the exact opposite of that. I also like how these platforms here form a little bit of a door to before. But, yeah, the whole thing with hikikomori, that is the social issue of the arc, I feel. And there are, like, I've seen some people saying, oh, I relate to Futaba a lot. Like, you really don't want to relate to Futaba's situation. It's really not something, it kind of reminds me of, like, the whole thing with, like, otaku, the term otaku being actually a very negative term in Japan, and not something that you want to self-identify as. Hikikomori is similar, like, it's definitely not a case of just being introverted, it's actually being, like...
Let's show them what's what! For you, Panther! How sweet! It's just what I needed!
And there's some new dialogue from this that we haven't heard before. That's redundant, but oh well. New dialogue that we haven't heard before. It's just like in the Vol Room, whenever, like, Justine and Caroline say, they shall be reborn anew. Doesn't that just mean born again?
Come on, Joker!
Can I show off Shock Boost here? Huh, neither of them got shocked. Okay, then. Why is it that Morgana's Reflector only ever returns attacks that the enemy blocks anyway? Yeah, in summary, you really don't want to be hikikomori. Like they're people who are seriously in need of both physical and mental help, and
Look,
I like that at least they're drawing attention to the fact that that is what Futaba needs right now. Even if this is going about it in a pretty fantastical way. And I just realized that's the perfect segue to my next topic, and it's one that I didn't want to have to go into during these videos.
Now's our chance to strike! Persona!
But then I realized that I kind of have to, because we don't go to the dungeon again until, and this makes me feel kind of bad, but... And I might be able to work in some improvisation around this, but if I follow the guide exactly, we won't be going back to a dungeon, mementos or otherwise, until the, like, 17th of September. So, yeah, that's quite a long time, and for that reason, I'm gonna have to talk about this now. So, a lot of people really like this arc and this palace. It is actually in my bottom 2 palaces in the game, and that's partly why I don't really remember much about, like, the different areas of this palace. So, why do I feel this way about this palace? A few reasons. Firstly, the enemy variety is not great in this palace. There are no new enemies for the rest of the entire palace, even like mini-bosses. There is one more mini-boss, apart from Royal, okay, the Will Sea Guardian is its own mini-boss, but apart from that, there's only one more mini-boss from this point on, and it's reused from earlier. So, it's really just the same enemies over and over. In terms of its actual, like, overall design, it feels like just a glorified straight line for the most part. It's not like hugely deep or interesting, and that doesn't really pair well with the fact that it's also got the longest deadline in the game. So they kind of expect you to do this over the course of multiple days for pacing reasons, but it's a dungeon that's probably the easiest one in the game to complete in one day. So it's not really all that necessary. So that's another aspect of why I'm not a huge fan of this. And also in general, the ancient Egypt aesthetic, it's something that I've seen in games a lot. I didn't mention earlier that, you know, Crash Bandicoot also did this. Like, so many video games have done this, JRPG or otherwise. I know it's kind of a novel concept for Persona, but in terms of just video gaming in general, ancient Egypt is like, there have even been entire games like Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy that are solely based on ancient Egypt. So like Kamoshida's Palace, it's a dungeon that I don't think is like hugely unique aesthetically. It is kind of cool that it's partially combined with the whole cyberspace theme, but still, it's just, I don't know, I'm not a massive fan of it overall. But here's the thing though, a lot of people who like this arc like it because of Futaba and of her plotline, and I would have to say, I agree. I think Futaba's a great character. I think her trauma in this part of the story is handled very well. I think this arc, in terms of a pure writing standpoint, is one of the best written arcs in the game. So, yeah, why don't I like it then? Well, it's simple. I think this arc is a good arc, but it's not a good Persona 5 arc. To me, this arc feels tonally dissonant from the whole thing about phantom thieves and rebellion against society. And while I don't personally like those themes as much as I do, say, Persona 3 and Persona 4's themes, I appreciate it when stories are narratively consistent, and I like the thing that this story does with the Phantom Thief theme, because they're really... Okay, I'm probably going to be one of those, oh, Persona 5 did everything first. I'm sure there's probably a Phantom Thief / lovable rogue JRPG out there before this game, but really, this is the first mainstream, like, Phantom Thief-themed, heist movie-themed JRPG that I've ever played, and that I've really ever seen. And that's a novel concept, and that's why I like Kaneshiro's Palace so much. It's because, like, you know, you're doing a bank robbery, a classic heist movie bank robbery, sorry, windbreak, as a JRPG dungeon. That just hasn't really been done before, as far as I know. And just like with Madarame's Palace as well, you have, like, a museum robbery with dodging past infrared lasers that, for some reason, are visible, even though they shouldn't be, because infrared. But you get the idea. It's again, a heist movie as a JRPG, and that's not something that you see often. You know, I think Makoto needs that. It's giving her +3 agility. Prevents curse insta-kills, because it's already cursed. It reminds me of Dragon Quest 8, actually, where the protagonist is immune to curses because they're already suffering a more powerful curse. But okay, yeah, back to what I was saying. The other reason why I think this arc feels a little bit tonally dissonant from, like, the whole Phantom Thief thing, is that this arc, to me, feels very Persona 4. It's all about infiltrating the mind of somebody who has a lot of insecurities and mental issues, and you're helping sort of, like, helping them get over their mental issues and trauma, and helping them sort of stand on their own 2 feet. In a way, kind of like Psychonauts. That was very much Persona 4's theme, though. And that's why, again, I feel like this arc, it's a good story. I just think that So Kanashiro's Palace, a lot of people think that that's filler, and narratively speaking, it's definitely filler. Kanashiro is easily the least connected villain to everything, and like even Makoto is not a big player in the arc. This arc is very much not filler from a pure narrative standpoint, because Futaba's a very major and important character. The stuff about cognitive science and Wakaba is very important, and Sojiro's past, we're finally learning about him and the caretaker we've been with the whole game. Finally finding out who he is as a person and what his past was like. What his family's like. This comment's actually kind of funny, but
What are your thoughts?
I can't talk about that now.
Shall we
So
go?
yeah, from a purely narrative standpoint, it's not filler, but I feel like from a thematic standpoint, this arc to me always felt like filler. Because, again, even though there's the hikikomori thing, and that is kind of social criticism, you're not really actively fighting against that kind of social criticism here. So, yeah, I don't know, it's just something that I've always felt about this arc, and that I felt that it would be more at home in Persona 4. And there's another reason why I think this. So, I said in my introductory video of this series, that Persona 5 originally had a very different concept.
Whoa!
It was originally going to be about backpacking across the world, and then when the earthquake and tsunami hit Japan, they decided to completely rewrite it to focus on Japanese social issues instead. There's a mini-boss coming up, but yeah, I think we're fine to do this. I do have Morgana in the party.
Yes.
I do, good, right. Actually, do I? No, I used Ryuji for one of the last mini-bosses, so let's actually bring Makoto this time. You definitely want, you definitely want Morgana for this, and Makoto is actually not a bad idea either.
The hell?
So yeah, I kind of spoiled this earlier, but yeah, we're fighting the same mini-boss again, and it has the same weakness. So they are calling her Pharaoh here, not Queen, which is accurate, because any woman who was the leader of all Egypt would be called a Pharaoh, not a Queen. Like Hatshepsut, who I mostly know from Carmen Sandiego. But yeah, he's brought some friends this time, and that's really the only difference. He's still weak to wind, so let's hit him with this. Actually, though, now is the perfect opportunity to show this off.
Okay.
Let's go. Where are you, Mitra? There you are. It's time for insert. This is Sparta memes, because yeah, the Battle of Thermopylae is actually the Battle of the 300 Spartans that's in that movie. Oh, that sucks. That really sucks, because he was entirely in this fight because of his baton pass damage. So that is a slight problem. Okay, I am kinda able to get a multi-baton pass chain here.
No.
Although I should probably start it with Makoto. So in that case, I'm gonna go charge in preparation for the chain. Because she can start this off with Freyla, go to Morgana, this is assuming nobody misses. We probably shouldn't with the whole mega buff on ourselves. Go to Morgana, Morgana knocks down the other wind weak enemy, go to Joker, and then he does a gigantic hit with his charge attack. It can summon more of these enemies throughout the fight too.
Here goes.
Let's go, Rising Slash. I was hoping for 1,000 damage there, but it's still pretty solid. Oh, she summons even more enemies. And oh, actually no, I can get a chain going again. Kind of funny that I brought Yusuke to this fight specifically because he's so good in mini bosses that have. He's so good against mini bosses that have weaknesses, and now I can't even have him participate in the chain because it's a mouse. It'd be funny if mice could participate in chains, but no. will this actually end the fight? Because I always love ending mini-boss fights with an all-out attack. Given it's only 3 of us, maybe not? No, it did. Nice. And we're getting Makoto's finisher too, which you don't see often since not a lot of mini-bosses are weak to nuke or have nuke-weak minions. And now I could fuse Mitra without having to pay, but oh well. I got to show off Pinch Anchor Mitra early.
Damn it.
So with everything that I was saying before about this game,
I can feel it.
I think I personally know why this Palace arc is as tonally dissonant as it is. And to me, that's because I think this arc, or specifically this palace, or dungeon, they were probably not called palaces at the time, is a remnant of the early concept, back when this game was still about world traveling. Because it just, like, it feels like that's what this is. And that's why this palace is based on ancient Egypt. Like, there must have been, like, a time when, originally in the game, you would have gone to Egypt, and then you would have had this palace as its dungeon. And I feel like that's why Futaba's arc kind of feels like... Like, to me, Futaba herself definitely feels like a character who fits in the context of Persona 5, but it feels like the arc itself was kind of, had to be adjusted quite a bit until it fit in with what they ended up getting in terms of their overall theme. And I'll talk more about why once we get to the boss fight, because it does feel like the overall connection between Futaba and the story is...
Alright.
Could have easily been added later, let's just say. So yeah, I'm gonna stop there, because I know that a lot of people really like this arc, and I'm sorry that I had to be so negative, but those are my thoughts. Like, I have to stress, I like this arc from a writing standpoint, and I like Futaba. I just feel like... It just doesn't feel like a Phantom Thief story to me. And that's why, to me, I like Kaneshiro's arc more, even though from a purely objective narrative standpoint, it's a lot worse. It's just kind of funny how things work like that. I fully admit there's a lot of my sly bias involved in me liking the Kaneshiro arc so much. And I already talked about why at the time. I love how Yusuke's laughter still carried over into the,
Feel it.
Yeah, we can also jump back up here into Ryuji's line there. But okay, now we're through here, and we can head on even further. Now, there's still a little more of this area to go, but this leads back here, and I think we already pressed this button, so... Yeah, I think we've gone through everything we can, so let's progress forward. We've had a couple of safe rooms, but I think we can probably afford to close out this part of the palace now. And the last part of this palace is going to be a little weird, so we're coming up on the Willseed Guardian. But because of special massage, we're going to be able to do some, like, confidant action at night after this palace.
What do you want to do, Joker?
And it would feel weird incorporating that into the video for, the...
Oh! Yeah.
For the calling card. So, I'm thinking of having just one more video that is basically just the Willseed Guardian. Some final cleanup, and the night time for, the 26th. It's weird how it works out that way, but it's kind of the case when you're doing this palace at the earliest possible point.
Joker, there's a treasure chest. We can get more money.
I am almost certain that this part of the palace is new to Royal though. And I do like it. I forget exactly how this part of the palace ended in the vanilla game. Oh, the Helper Knife. So this is a reason why I kind of wanted to show off the Great Thief's Stick when I could, because this is something that I really like on Joker, just for that +3 magic. Like, because of that, I often see Joker with this knife for the rest of almost the entire game. just because I love that +3 magic, or effectively +6 magic. Speaking of which, I've given Yusuke Regent, because that's another strength booster on him. Okay, so this heads down here, and from here, we can go through here and unlock the final barrier, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually do that now. Just so that we've got all of the main progress of this area concisely contained to one video. Oh right, sorry, I had to activate the puzzle first by touching this. I always forget about that.
The mural should display on the front wall now, right?
I'd expect so. Joker, if you please.
Wait, what? I can't even begin to tell what this one is.
It may be a rather difficult puzzle for us to solve.
This is one of those where looking at the edges, like doing that classic, you know, puzzle solving, like jigsaw puzzle solving trick from my childhood, actually. This is one where looking at the edges definitely helps. So all of these sort of, like patterned parts, they have to go on either side. Now, one thing here that often messes me up, though, yeah, I think this one would be the other side, maybe? Yeah, one thing that often messes me up is these wings. The wings don't quite go where you'd expect them to. They're actually hanging down from the top of the side of this puzzle. Okay, yeah, so that doesn't quite fit, so it's on the other side. Yeah, also this desk doesn't quite orient itself the way that I'd personally expect either. Okay, so we have one more corner piece here. So that goes there. Okay, that's in the right spot. Yeah, these actually go like that. Like, the wings are sort of framing the shots. And here, this would be... Yeah, that's not a corner piece, so... This one, let's focus. That obviously goes there. Oh, right, that's the bottom of a chair. That's there. And now I just need to rotate these, because here, we've got the complete picture.
Yes, we're done.
A child pulling on her mother's clothes?
Mom? More voices.
I'm tired of eating dinner alone all the time. It's always just convenience store bentos. I wanna go somewhere. Take me on a trip.
The one clinging to her mother would be Futaba-chan, right?
Don't be so selfish. You know I'm working hard to support you, right?
She seemed pretty angry. Is that the maternity neurosis the voice from earlier mentioned?
I thought it was pretty normal for a child to want to spend time with their parents, though.
Yeah, looks like Futaba was a pretty lonely kid growing up.
So these incidents compounded, forcing her mother to suicide.
I must die.
Huh?
I killed her. That's why I'm here in this tomb.
Don't say that!
I will die.
Futaba-chan!
Why'd she get so quiet all of a sudden? What happened to that snarky personality?
Could her heart perhaps be growing weaker?
We have to hurry and save her!
I like how you're presented with those flashbacks in essentially the reverse order as well. Because that one was clearly the first one, then you have the suicide itself, and then you have those people reading the suicide note.
Huh?
Okay, the moment we approach that, we're going to be getting a cutscene, and I'll be saving that for next time. I'm not going to approach that safe room either, just in case it takes us into the cutscene. So, next time, I'm going to be handling just some final cleanup in the palace, and then I'll be doing the nighttime activity for the 26th via special massage. So it might be a little awkward things work out like that, but it's the best that I've got to kind of fit everything together. So I'll see you then next time for all of that. But before you go, I'd just like to mention that I have some videos of my first time fighting the bosses in vanilla Persona 5. I'll have a link in the description or a pinned comment. Now that we've fought every mini-boss on camera in this playthrough, I would highly encourage you to check out my old video of Futaba's mini-bosses, because what the Raging Bird God did to me on my first attempt has to be seen to be believed.